on this thing.
Excellent. All right, guys. Welcome to Nick and Reed Coast to Coast. We are going live again today with some incredible guests talking about a very, very pertinent subject. We're talking to three people who really are masters of the craft in this area. Nick, would you like to introduce our guests?
I want to start with Sarah. AW agent, you're living under a rock. You have watched her rocket sail past all others over the last probably year, and now she is your #1 agent in all of Keller Williams. Sarah Reynolds, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So, and I would love to, I love the #1 agent. It's #1 team, right? So
Number it was one in everything, in our minds, in our hearts, it's all of us.
Our whole team. It wasn't just me, that's for sure.
That's fair, but I love that. See that? I love that about you.
Yes. Very good, very good. And then where's Brent Hansen? The Brent Hansen is with us, hailing out of Boise, Idaho. Welcome to the call, Mr.
I don't
Hansen.
know if I need a "the" before my name, but thank you for welcoming me.
I don't know how he doesn't call you handsome. Brent Handsome. That's who I see.
Brent Hansen.
Brent, I haven't
guy.
been able to, I don't think we've met before. Hi, Brent.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to be on here with you.
Yeah, right back at you. I don't know if you guys can see me, but my internet says it's going in and out. So if it gets glitchy, I am sorry.
You're frozen, but we can hear everything you're saying, so that's the good news.
Yes. All right. And then Gay, where is Gay? Hello, hello.
I'm here. Good morning, everybody.
All right.
Morning,
Gay
Gay.
Rebel, good to see you.
Good morning,
Beautiful.
good morning.
All right, so Nick, what are we talking about today?
So focus on this call is, what is the focus of this call? What do we narrow this down to?
Virtual open house systems. What are people doing and how's it going?
I knew it was marketing of the moment, but I was like, that's too broad, doesn't make any sense. So marketing the moment, what are we doing right now in order to succeed in today's market? How are we getting in front of buyers? Several states, you can't do open houses. You can't even leave your house. Some states are completely backwards and you're allowed to do anything you want, and who knows what's going on there, and we'll see how that plays out. But we've got everything from coast to coast. But what I'm seeing over and over and over again is there's a lot of agents that are saying, hey, it's so much easier to do a 30-minute open house on virtually, and I can do 4 or 5 of them in the same time it would take me to drive to one open house and do the whole thing. And remember, open house is about the time you put in prior as much as it is the time you're actually holding it. So who do we start with? Who wants to go first? Who wants to tell us a little bit about what they did in their open houses prior and now what they've kind of changed to or how they've adapted? Give us some tactical
All right, so we're gonna
change your business.
We're gonna get the party started with Gay. Gay,
all right.
Get us launched here. Tell us a little bit about the context of where you're coming from. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your team, all the background, and then hit her hard.
Okay, great. Gay Ribble, I'm from Denver, and we were essential for a week, and then somebody messed it up for everybody, and so they locked us down completely. So for 7 weeks, we were non-essential. We couldn't even put a sign in someone's yard. So there was very little that they let us do. They slowly started to open it up to let us do, like, we could have, once they went under contract, then you could show the property. So we had our sellers actually doing the video tours of their houses. I had an 84-year-old woman that we taught how to take photos and how to, do the virtual tour. And so we would just mute her and have her walk around and show the house. And, we would kind of talk about what it was that they were seeing and all of that. So that was really, really tricky. That house actually sold with our little 84-year-old woman. So, you know, doing everything. She had to stage it herself. She had to take her own photos and, you know, all of that. So that was about for 4 weeks of the time of the 7. So since then, then the last 2 weeks, we were able to actually do marketing. We were not able to have showings on a property, but we were able to have marketing done. And so we did that. So I actually have my assistant, Cindy, who is on with me, and she's got just a quick little PowerPoint that I'll kind of walk you through with some of the things that we've done that are a little more typical of what, you know, other people who are locked down, not having the seller do it themselves, just because that was not pretty and you wouldn't want to see it. So yeah, you wouldn't want to see that. Okay, let's see. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so
Love it.
Go ahead, Cindy, you can move on down. So the first thing that we have done, whoops, Cindy, can you go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll wing it till she gets it going. So the first thing that we do is actually, before the Matterport, Cindy, on the MLS, with the MLS, we're putting a lot of instructions on the verbiage of the MLS. So, you know, we were saying, once we're open now, you know, now we're open for showings. Before we were open for showings, we were saying virtual open house, here you go, on Friday at 5:15. So anybody that was getting those, you know, whether it went to Zillow or Redfin or KW or the MLS, Realtor.com, they could see we were advertising what it was that we were doing when we were doing. And so that's for a live virtual open house. We've done several. So we've done live, we've done the Matterport, we've done a video of, you know, doing a showing walkthrough. So we've kind of done all of them and really played with all of them just to see, you know, what was effective. What we found is that they've all been effective in one way or another. And so we like actually having all of it and giving people their options. So going to the next slide, we've got the Matterport tour, which you guys all, you know and have. We are putting in our verbiage, you can go to the next slide, Cindy, that the 3D Matterport tour is available. And so we were not doing Matterport tours before. We know that with Matterport tours in a normal setting, I think Josh Team was the one that told me this, that KW did some sort of a survey, and it was a significantly fewer number of people that went to the house actually physically after they saw. So they didn't feel like they needed to see the house. So in a normal climate, we want as many people in the house as we can get, right? Because they may still love it, even though. But what we found is, you know, now people aren't wanting to go in needlessly, and our sellers don't want people needlessly to be coming in and looking at the house. So that's why we've done the Matterport tour now, and we're really, in fact, we make sure that every showing, now that we are open for showings, that they view the Matterport tour before even coming into the house. And what we found is about 25% of the people, after they set the showing and they get this landing page that I'll show you here in a second, once they get all of that, they actually terminate the showing because there was something about the house that they didn't like. You know, what it backed to, or, you know, whatever, something about it. Well, that's a needless showing. And so our sellers actually right now appreciate that, because for one thing, when they have to leave their house for a showing, there's nowhere to go. Everything else is still locked down. So you know, I mean, like, you can go sit in your car or whatever, but that's about it. So this is what you're seeing here is a Facebook Zoom live video tour. So we are, I think you can go to the next one, Cindy. And that's just advertising, you know, what it is that we're doing. When we are doing our live open houses, one of the things that I really stress to everybody, sorry about the technical problems here. I actually can't talk and do it all at the same time. I can't, do two things at once. So that's why I have Cindy doing it, but sorry about that. So when we
You're
are
doing great, Kay. You're doing awesome.
Yeah,
I
and
already
the good
have
news,
lots of
guys,
notes.
the good news is you're going to have technical difficulties when you're doing open houses virtually. You're going to have opportunities where you're screwing up or you're making a mistake. Just own it and be normal. Like this is the life we live now. And people are more forgiving now than they've ever been. So don't ever apologize. Just make a little joke about it and keep right on going, because you will face this when you're doing it.
That is.
Gay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have a question for you with your live open houses. How far in advance do you market those? How much runway do you give them?
So we're doing somewhere between 5 days and 3 days on them. And so we have them going to Zoom, and then on Zoom, when we're doing the actual open house, we do Zoom and Facebook Live. And what we're finding as far as results, and some of you, I'd be very curious what your results are. We're getting somewhere between like 14 and 26 people live that come on. Most of them do not talk to us. Occasionally somebody does. It helps a lot when somebody's hosting a watch party. And so, we really encourage the watch parties on that. And what we're getting after the fact, after it's live, is 1,000 views on them. So, so the live portion, we have gotten calls of people that, want to work with our agents from doing the live, but really, more of the promotion comes afterwards. Okay, so let's go on. So when we're doing a Facebook Live, one of the things I've watched some of the others, Adam, and when we do the Facebook Live, what we do is we really want to talk to the people when they are walking through the house, right? So we're talking about the neighborhood. We want to engage in conversation with them. One of the things that I noticed when people were doing the Facebook Lives is that they would, kind of show the kitchen quickly, and really, depending on the lighting and all of that, you couldn't even really tell, like, what kind of cabinets are they, and what does the countertop look like? And so one of the things that we really have our agents do when they're doing the live open house is that we have them really pan down on, like, this is what the granite looks like. This is what the cabinets look like. We give room dimensions when we're walking into the room so that people know, because one of the things that we found in watching other people's is it's impossible to tell the depth of what you're looking at. And so if you can go in and actually say, this room is 12 talking about, like, while we're slowly panning around on like the living room or the great room or something like that, what we're doing is we're talking about the neighborhood, we're talking about the schools, we're talking about all of the things that you would be talking about if you had someone right there with you. What we found is that most people just kind of walked through the room and would say, this is the living room. And, then there'd be like awkward silence, or you'd hear footsteps, of people walking through or things like that. So while we're panning, we're having that background conversation. We are not in our, on the So we also then decided to go with virtual open houses that were not live, because we knew that the live ones were getting more of the hits after the fact. We decided just to start advertising virtual open houses. So Brent, you're gonna think that this is funny, but this actually is copied from an ad, a Facebook ad that Brent opened up to all of us and said you can use it. And his is way better. I mean, it's put together quickly. So we'll go ahead and play this for you just so that you can see. This is the video that we're putting on the ad on Facebook to get them to then sign in and register for the full open house. So go ahead, Cindy. Cindy, that's
right one?
It was, but it wasn't showing on your screen.
Oh.
Yeah, it's glitching. That's all right.
Yeah.
So,
And hopefully,
Gabe,
hopefully Brent can show you his because it's really cool. But it's just like a 30-second, just really quick with a little bit, but of the actual house that we're doing. Each one is of the actual house.
yeah, and then Gay, if you would, can you have Cindy drop the link into there? So one of the takeaways that I had, Gay, when you're talking was, holy smokes, I've been watching a lot of these, and people walk through and they talk about the obvious things right in front of them, but they don't talk about the drive into the neighborhood, the schools, the parks, all of those lifestyle things, the restaurants. And I love that. I think that is a super, super good nugget to be able to take away when it comes to doing this.
When we'll go ahead and get rid of the video here, but of all of it. But when we start off, we actually start at the sidewalk, right? So we talk about the neighborhood before we walk into the house whatsoever. So we're panning around because most people just get started at the front door and you don't know what the neighborhood looks like. Well, obviously the neighborhood's an important aspect of the house. So we will actually pan up and down the street. We'll talk about where the local parks are and things in conjunction with, with where this house is and some information about the neighborhood. And then we walk into the front door. And we do that all the way through.
Awesome.
Everything that you would do if you had a real buyer with you and you were really selling the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this gives us a pretty good idea of how to do a virtual open houses and kind of the little techniques in there. And I think that's good. Let's get into some of the higher ends things about like, how are we marketing this? How are we getting people into this? How are we making sure that these are more impactful than actually having an open house and advertising it in all the traditional ways that we used to have? So Gay, I'm going to ask that question to you, and then I want to ask that question to Sarah next and have her kind of talk a little bit about the same thing. What are we doing to get these in front of consumers and getting more people that are interested? Mm-hmm. And our follow-up as well.
So I'll just go real quick because Sarah's doing a lot with this and I want to learn from her too. We're doing our Facebook advertising. We're also making everybody go through all of this before they come into the house. We did a special website that says it's ouropenhouse.com. And so it's on the sign writer of every sign. So anybody that's driving by can actually click on and see all of our open houses, all of our active properties that we have. And those are the ones that are not live open houses, but the still open houses that is basically like a walkthrough. So that's what we're doing, but I'd love to hear what Sarah's doing too.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Okay, I was actually pulling up our, can you guys hear me okay? Keep saying my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pull up our checklist for marketing. So we've been so I'm a tester. Like I tried tons of different things to see what works. We're 8 weeks into our tests, which actually is not that long. A lot of people think it's long, but it's actually not long in terms of marketing. And so we first tried doing the open houses through like Zoom to where they had to get like tickets. And that was a complete fail. We've now turned it into some successes that we're having. So we've actually sold multiple homes now through virtual open houses. And what we're doing is, and that's what I'm hoping to be able to show you guys. Hold on. Okay, so hold on. Hey, Lydia.
I think everybody in the world is using Zoom right now and taking up all the bandwidth.
Seriously, can you, where's our open house checklist of all the marketing that we market the virtual open houses? Can you?
So guys that are listening, or guys and girls that are listening, we have 3,300 people on this call. So it's a lot of people in there taking up a lot of bandwidth.
Do we really?
Does anybody believe that?
Okay, so I'll go through it in my head. So our we start marketing on Wednesday. And that's the latest that we start marketing. Ideally, it's good to start marketing on Monday or Tuesday. And so we started following Gay's system right before this all went down, of all homes went on the market on Wednesday, all the marketing's done, then we had that initial launch open house. We had finally gotten it all done. We were getting 100 to 150 open house leads a week, and then coronavirus hit. And so it was like a gut punch to our team, because we had gotten this system really refined, and then now it's like, okay, so we're still following the same mentality. So all listings go on the market on Wednesday, and then all marketing for the open house is done. And so what we're doing is we're doing all traditional marketing. So we blog about the virtual open house using the address. We're doing a YouTube video about the virtual open house. We're creating a Facebook event, which Gay's doing that as well, creating the Facebook event. And then we've been doing targeted ads. So I believe in having pages that are not realtor specific, that are home specific. So we have one page, Loudoun County real estate information. We have all the main counties that we serve. We have Facebook pages for those areas that are what we call non-branded. So they're not Reynolds Team branded pages. They're all about homes in those areas. So we then promote the open houses on those pages, and then we're creating ads targeting the ideal buyer for that house. The location.
How granular do you get with that?
We used to be able to get really granular. Now we can't with fair housing. So now it's more of like, do we think, which area do they think we're gonna, like we've even done some out of area. Like if we know a lot of people are moving from a certain city, because we're getting a lot of referrals and we're using some of the KW information that's being shared in that certain house is attracting more like a relocator. We're going to do some specific ads. We've tested some specific ads. That's actually how we sold that house. We knew that New York, people were moving from upstate New York to Northern Virginia. And we targeted that area, and that guy found the live open house through that. It was pretty amazing, actually.
So guys, just some information on that. If you go to howmoneywalks.com, you can go in, put the information about your community, and it'll tell you the 5 places that the most people are moving from to your area. It'll also tell you the 5 places that people are leaving your area and going to. So you can start getting a better understanding of who's coming in and out of your world.
So we're doing specific target marketing for the listings. And then also the other big thing has been Marketplace. They actually shut us down though, so we're figuring that out right now. But we were generating like 100 to 150 leads just on Facebook Marketplace for free. And then we were putting our Facebook Live open house information on the listing in Facebook Marketplace.
That's awesome.
We were sort of breaking the rules, which is why we got shut down, because we were saying we were marketing a free information packet and a free tour about the house. We were marketing the home as free. Well, it looked like it. But if you read the offer, it was free open house tour or free information packet about the home. That gets so many leads, and I would highly recommend you break the rules and follow what I'm doing. And yes, you're going to get shut out, but the leads that you get will be worth it. And then by the time you get shut down, I will figure out how to get out back in. Okay, so
that's awesome.
Using Facebook Marketplace is free. And it's huge. You just have to make sure your offers are something people will click and want. And so that has been a huge pull for us for we just got kicked out this week. So that's been a huge pull for us for getting views on our virtual open houses. I can share in the group our list. I'm waiting for that to be sent to me. We do have a pretty extensive checklist in terms of what marketing is done on every virtual open house. And so I can send that out. And so you can implement those things. Blogging is important, and making sure, oh, the other thing, change the remarks in KWLS. And then anywhere that it syndicates, Zillow and Realtor.com no longer syndicate with KWLS, but all other sites, it's been interesting to see the data pulled from KWLS recently. Like we're getting views on our listings of websites I've never heard of that KWLS syndicates to. Make sure that the remarks, like what Gay just showed with her remarks, make sure the KWLS has those remarks. Don't only be doing MLS. Make sure that you're using KWLS, because that syndicates to all of the different websites that Keller Williams syndicates to, and they use the remarks that are in KWLS to send out.
So you
Smart.
update all of your remarks on KWLS so that any website that goes to, it picks up on that.
Yes. Yep. A lot of KW agents are forgetting it. And you need to make sure that that's in your systems to update the KWLS remarks with those things that Gay went over. Just make sure you're not missing also KWLS.
Yep.
And so we've been getting, I've been looking at the views like later in the week. So that's interesting the way that Gay's looking at it. And I'm going to get that data and share, because I think that's really critical to know how many people are viewing it like during it, and then how many people are viewing it afterwards. Our last one that we did on Sunday Facebook said had 85% more engagement and more interaction than any of the other posts we had done. 85% more. So that's pretty huge.
Wow.
I do know that the agent that did it followed the instructions. So what we did is we put together specific instructions. Actually, this is all copied from Gay because she watched all of them, and then she put in the group, like, this is what we need to be doing, guys. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing it. Now, not all of them are doing it. Not all my agents are doing it, sadly. But the ones that are doing it are getting great results. So let me show you guys the list that we created.
Real quick, just so you know, what I did is it was most of your open houses that I looked at.
I know, I could tell from the feedback.
Country, right? So it was your open houses that I looked at, and then just as a consumer, figured out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I loved it. Okay, so we put together, this is for all of our agent partners. They get this every Wednesday when they have signed up for the virtual open house. So it gives specific instructions as to how to go live, and and the other piece is to tag. They're supposed to tag me and Debbie. And that's because we have the most past clients and the most followers that on our personal Facebooks. So when one of your agents is doing it, you need to tag whoever has the most influence. And it might not be the Rainmaker, actually. It could be someone else on your team. The more people you tag, the more people will get notified about it. Okay, so at a minimum, they need to tag Debbie and I, okay? And so then we have specific remarks, and I'm actually going to work on those. I loved what Gay was showing. And then our Peachy, our marketing director, is on standby every weekend now because of technical problems that we run into, and that our agents are trying to figure this all out. It's a lot. And so that's her cell phone. And then these are the tips that we came up with. Like, they might sound basic, but they're really important, because I think we forget about some of these things, like making sure your phone is charged, turn on all the lights and opening the curtains, walk through the home first and have a plan and flow to where you want to go. Try not to whip the camera around too fast. We were doing that in the beginning. Think of where your camera, turn the camera before moving it. Move at a pace to where clients can see. So I can share these all with the group. The phone being vertical versus horizontal is important. And so holding it parallel to your face. And then the thing that has worked really well for us is making offers during the tour. So the tips that Gay I love that I'm getting credit in this. These are really Gay's important tips, but apparently I got credit for Gay's tips on my team, which is great. I mean, that's how it should work. So this is what Gay had sent all of us in Gary's group. And so these are really great. But the other piece that I think is really important and where we're turning it into sales is making offers during the open house. So this is like, so we created our COVID-19. Who is that? I have ADD and I can't, can we mute?
Oh, somebody on their iPhone. Kill it.
Get him, Rebecca.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, I can't.
Got it.
Yeah, okay. So it's really important. I loved Gay's tips on selling the house and like really talking about the neighborhood and everything like that. Virtual open houses work the same as regular open houses to where the majority of people will not buy that house. They're not interested in the home. Now you do have to have tact because your seller is watching you do their virtual open house, right? So you can't be like, if you think this house sucks, you know, we have other homes for you. Like, okay, obviously that's not going to work. You can have multiple offers that you make during the video that are really important about how we're protecting clients and what we're doing. And if you would like our best buy the best buy list, contact us today. Here's my cell phone number, private message me. Like you constantly are making calls to action. You don't want it just to be about the house because the goal is to sell homes through this too. And so the important thing is to have calls to action as you're going through the house. I have one, I'm working on calls to action in this list for my team, and I'll post that. It's actually due to my team tomorrow. So I'll post that once I have it done of just like all the things you can be saying when you're live that will get people to contact you. Because the goal is for them to raise their hand and to private message you or to call you. They're not going to do that by just you showing the house. You have to give them a reason. Why should they contact you? So most of us on the phone, on the call, have lots of properties coming soon. And we're allowed to share them with our buyers per the MLS rule, the in NAR new rule. So you should be saying that. We have 130 coming soon that are not currently on the market. They're not currently online. If you private message me today, I can ensure you don't miss out on all of our coming soon properties. And so like, you don't want the whole thing to be about that because that would be really bad for the seller, but you want to make sure that you are giving offers throughout the virtual open house that will get leads because we still want leads from our virtual open house.
I love it. I mean, it's like a new version of going back to the extreme open house or, you know, just is really an excuse to do all kinds of other things around it.
Exactly. And so we've been able to turn, I mean, it's only 8 weeks of testing, but we've been able to start getting leads from these again. And I mean, not 150 a week, but we're getting some results from it, which has been really great. But it's taken us, and we're still figuring it out. I mean, I don't think anyone on here has this all figured out. I think that we're all testing things, and I think that that's the power, right? Is like, let's share what's working and what's not working. And I do know that the homes we've sold through virtual houses and the homes that we've gotten leads, it's because the agent gave offers as to why they should contact them. You have to make offers throughout the time. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, okay, so I want to move over to Brent, and then Stephanie had a comment, so we want to get to that. I think it was really good. It ties in nicely to what Sarah and Gay were talking about. Brent, where are you at?
I'm right here.
All right, man.
Good luck.
What do you have to add to the conversation?
Oh man, so I'm super excited. So you know, you said it perfectly, Reed. You said you know, we use open houses for a lot of different reasons. So I got super excited when we had to get super creative around this because I like to find seller leads. So I like to find motivated sellers. So I use this as a tactic and a strategy to show sellers what we do to make them feel comfortable. In fact, in Gary Keller's mastermind the other day, he made a really good point. The people that are going to get the spoils are the ones that that understand what makes the market feel comfortable, and then they experiment with that until they find a solution. Right. And so that's what I've been doing. And like Sarah says, you know, we're only 8 weeks into this, so we're experimenting. And for me, it's been about controlling the narrative and the message to allow sellers to feel more comfortable with us than anybody else. And so that's been my biggest focus, was to align with sellers. Buyer leads
Brent,
are.
how are you doing that exactly? How are you making them feel, you know, more comfortable and more understanding of what you're doing? How are you accomplishing that?
Nick, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, let me share my screen. Just a second. So I'm gonna go over two things. I'm gonna go over our virtual open house event, and then I'm also gonna go over our virtual listing site. And the virtual listing site is honestly, it's not as much about driving buyer leads, which it does. We've gotten some organic leads off of it. It's about showing it, show and tell to sellers as we sit down with them and getting them off the fence to move forward with listing in this time frame. So let me share my screen. Hold, please. All right, can you guys see? Can you see that?
Wait for it.
Yep.
There we
got it.
Okay. So we did our third episode of our virtual open house event. Our first two were not what we wanted, and I was collecting data off of that the entire time on how to develop this into an hour-long podcast style virtual open house that is sharing information with buyers and sellers about the current market. So I basically say we're opening the book on the Boise real estate market, and we're opening doors to our newest listings. So the first half of this is actually us talking about what's currently going on in the market and helping people feel comfortable with the market and with us as the expert. And so I have a special guest on. This last time I had a special guest that was a lender. We were talking about applying for a mortgage virtually and the difference between a big box lender like Quicken and a local lender and applying virtually with a local lender. And then and the whole time I hosted it, I was asking relevant questions that I know the listener wanted to know about if they were watching. And so this is the reaction that we got out of it just from this last Saturday. And then we hosted a watch party of this same exact open house the very next day at the same exact time. And so we hosted at 12 on Saturday and a watch party at 12 on Sunday. And we got, 1,200 people reached, 606 people watched it for 3 seconds, but we got 236 reactions. So, and 566 post clicks. And like Sarah said, what I did through this entire thing was I used a lot of call to actions, drawing people into the message that I wanted them to hear about how to list virtually and how to utilize our team to sell their home virtually. And so that's what I've been really excited about. This is now I'm in control of the narrative and I get to put it out in front of sellers and help them feel comfortable with us selling their property.
So, Brent, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So this is more of a professional video that you're showing during the virtual open house, or?
No, it's
So
a
you're not
live
having-
Zoom. It's a live
Oh,
Zoom.
oh, this is just your picture for the beginning?
Yeah, yep. So that's just the picture.
Oh.
Now I did have a slideshow, so I had that slide setting up. When I went live, I let this slide sit there for a minute. So people would see City of Trees Real Estate's going live, City of Trees Real Estate, and then they would see this image and they would go, oh, it's a virtual open house. And then I started with my Zoom live, and I had my special guests and my agents on.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. So, and what we did building up to this is we do little teasers. So I don't know if you guys, can you see this page now? It says, shows a video.
Yeah.
Can you see? Yes. Do you guys see a black video?
Not yet. Oh,
Okay.
now we do.
Nope, not yet.
Okay. So we posted 2 different teasers, and then we actually boosted, or not from the ad management side, we actually pushed these and targeted them as well to the to specific areas. So Ada County or Canyon County. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. And so again, all I'm doing is leveraging my call to actions throughout the video, instilling us as the professional, but then using the virtual open house as the reason to send the message out. Were you guys able to see that video?
Not really.
Ah, dang it. Okay, well, do me a favor,
right.
go to City Trees Real Estate Facebook page, like our page, and while you're there, go ahead and scroll down, you can watch the video.
Well done. Way to swing that in there. That was impressive.
Well done. Well done. Good
So
deal.
last
Hey,
thing, while I'm on it, that I'm driving people back to our virtual listing landing page, which essentially is just a property flyer that I have control over the design, and I have the ability to insert my virtual link, and my listing manager from the back end of the site that we created in 15 seconds can add our listings. So I then drive people to this and show them while I'm on the Zoom call and talk about the house. So, and they're able to see the floor plan. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but they're able to see the floor plan, the highlights that I have about the house, and the gallery. And then what I do with this site when I'm sitting down with the seller is I go to my sold homes, which all of this is done automatically. And then I get it with the seller, show them all the properties that have sold all off of my virtual site. And so I get to now start to show and tell what we've done to actually utilize a virtual landscape. And so it's locked down more sellers for us as we build this virtual sales site.
And you says it all does that automatically. Is that a site that you have somebody building personally, or is that a company that you hired?
No, I built this site, and I built it with the mindset of allowing my listing manager to easily update it on the back end. So it doesn't pull data automatically. She has to go in and just put in the basic data. But when she changes the status is when it moves it over to the sold page off of the active page. So that way we're compiling long-term the amount of houses that we've sold from our virtual page. And then let me think here. So basically my listing manager, we get a new listing, she pops onto the back end of this site, she answers 10 questions, clicks publish, and then the property flyer is created. And then I can drive people to this property flyer. And really it's just show and tell to the sellers.
Love
Yeah,
it.
that's
Love that
awesome.
spin on it. Very good. Hey, Stephanie, are you on?
Yes.
Stephanie Avello?
Yes. Here we go.
Hey, you had a comment a little while back I wanted you to hit on. Can you talk about the watch party?
Yeah, so we like all of you are trying a lot of different things, and so we were looking at Matterport. We found something iGuide, so we used iGuide. What we did find though is iGuide on advertising going out. We did not get as much views, so we didn't get as much views on the iGuide advertising. So we're shifting that. Yeah, basically what we want to do is make sure that everybody on our team knows when we're going live on a virtual open house, so that everybody on the team is asked to watch it and then create their own watch parties, so that we're maximizing the opportunity to really be touching our own databases without touching them. So that's like, we just had a little house yesterday, and actually we went live on Friday. We have not had one showing, and a little bit, higher price here in Indianapolis, not high, but a higher price. And so we haven't had a showing yet, and we only had like 59 views, like with the iGuide piece. And so it was like, okay, how can we maximize this? So we did a virtual open house yesterday, and we have like 795 views. But it was pushing it from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and getting everybody to watch it, and then pushing it out that way. Yes, we're really trying
Love
to
it.
use the watch party and the Zoom and the Facebook Live all at once. But I think it's also the person that's going and walking through, if your team could go on and make their own personal comments about the house, likes, or, you know, things, it helps the interactions. And so, of course, sellers like to see that as well.
Yeah, so guys, I think it would be remiss if we didn't cover this question, and any one of the four of you guys can answer. What can you attribute to business from this? So whether it's new listings you've gotten off of these, or buyers that you've been able to convert and move into, whether it's that house or another house, it doesn't really matter. How have you been doing with conversion as far as turning the activity that we're doing into someone buying or selling with the team?
Great question.
We've gotten 3 people who had listed with somebody else who wasn't doing anything through our lockdown, and they actually terminated the listings and came to us because they saw or heard from other people what we were doing and that we were doing something. It might not, you know, it might not always work. It might not always be pretty, but it's something, and that, you know, we were constantly day to day, you know, trying to perfect it, and people saw that. Whereas a lot of other agents are just passively sitting and saying there's nothing we can do.
Love it.
Love that.
Yeah, so we can attribute one contract from virtual open house. Like meaning like that home actually went under contract. And to be honest, I had a total limiting belief about this. We jumped on the virtual open house bandwagon. Like, I think we might've been one of the first like teams to do a lot of them in that first weekend. And my whole thinking was, this is going to make the sellers happy. This is going to see, sellers are going to see that we're doing something, like Gay had said. I did not think we could sell a house this way. To be honest, that was my limiting belief. And then my team just kept following what I was telling them to do. And then all of a sudden we sold a house, like all through. And so now I'm like so passionate about it, because I'm like, okay, like we can actually, let's make this even better. And that's why I'm working on more offers. And I love, I love hearing all of these, this feedback. I mean, I'm learning so much today from Brent and from everyone in terms of what we can do better on. But we are getting tons of business right now. And it's not just from virtual open houses. I think we are being very proactive on programs we're rolling out, on showing we're still selling homes, showing that we care about them and we're keeping them safe. And I mean, from our ISA scripting to every agent scripting, I mean, we're talking about it constantly. And so if you follow me on social media, you'll see some stuff I put on my personal, but we're doing a lot of just like talking about all the things we're doing. We're about to roll out, like financial hardship training and talking about that now, you know, helping people, through unemployment, you know, job loss creates as many moving opportunities as job creation. And I know it's sad, but we're needed right now. So we are needed. We need everyone listening to step up and be leaders. And I know you guys are, but I'm just telling you, I think I'm allowed to say that as number one, right? No, like I need to get the rule. I need to get the rules of the things I'm allowed to say now. No, but the point is to step up and be the leader that our communities need, because people are going to move right now because of job loss too. And it's our time, our conversation needs to change, but the fact that we're still going to have as many conversations. And so just making sure that our mindsets and our team's mindsets are in the right place of serving people during this time. And I think if we make it about that and making sure that we're pushing stuff digitally out, we've moved almost all of our resources to digital now with lead generation, because that's where the consumer is. And making sure we're being very vocal about what we have going on. And one thing I'm learning on the digital front, keep repeating. Just because you posted that video one time, like keep posting it, keep repeating. We have a whole list of content that we're constantly recycling. And it's important to do that. So
leads for me, I've gotten off of our virtual listing site, I've gotten 4 organic leads, which people have just hopped on and requested showings. And then for listings, we've had 4 people move off of the fence that were planning on waiting this out that I notated. And then we've had several people inquire because we never stood out to them before seeing our virtual process. So we've had several people, I don't know the exact number, but 4 for sure that I know moved off of the fence because they were waiting, because they weren't sure they could sell right now.
The other thing is make sure, like, anything you're doing, make sure you're adjusting the message. Like if you're calling expireds, if you're doing, like, we had the most expired listing appointments we've ever had this month in April. And we're changing the message to match the market. So change the message to match, come up with a program for expired, and then that's what you're talking about on the call. Because no one else is doing that. They're using the same scripts that they've always used. And so you're going to sound different because they're not talking about their COVID-19 seller protection plan, and their other realtor didn't even have that, you know? And so, like, be talking about programs and talking about what's going on. Use the words that the media is using and use it into your own marketing and scripting. So we're getting, yeah, so.
Love it. Man, good stuff, guys. Nick, you want to help us land the plane here?
Yeah, I mean, I think this comes back to marketing of the moment. You know, you're hearing people and they're saying, oh, we haven't been doing it that long, but 8 weeks is 8 weeks longer than most of us. So the absolute opportunity is to right now make plans this weekend. It's only Tuesday, and we know we want to have it ideally Tuesday or Wednesday determined so we can advertise all week. Now's the time to take action at this and give it a try. They've given us a ton of places to advertise these. In fact, my mind's so much more expanded of where you can put these. And then the idea of having some recorded and some live and being able to use those as you need. And then the idea of having the team come on and comment and make and use their own watch parties to kind of grow that. I love the idea that, you know, job loss creates as many moving events as job growth that Sarah said. I mean, when I'm looking at the numbers right now, and I'm going to throw this out there to anybody, think about the person, your ideal client. So like Brent, I loved how you said you're looking for listing clients. Right now, a lot of us are in a seller's market. It'd be great to have more listings. So let's look at what's going on right now that would make somebody really want to sell. How are Airbnbs doing in your area? In our area, they haven't had a dime for the last 2 months, and they probably won't have another dime for the next 2 months. Those are investors. Those are people that have gotten into the market because they want to make money. This is your opportunity to reach out to every single one of them and tell them, hey, here's where we are in the market right now. You can sell at the top of the market. This is where we're going with unemployment, with consumer debt, with all the other things that are going to bring the market down, and then you can reinvest and buy. And what investor doesn't want to hear how he can sell high and buy low? So I think that this just goes back to adjusting to what's going on in the moment. No matter what, there's always business to be had. So take what you learned from today and just start, just try, just go.
Yeah. Absolutely. There are some really good tactical things I took away. The KWLS for syndication, right? That's super, super important. The calls to action and the talking about the neighborhood as you're walking through the property. Don't forget all of those things. And don't forget the fact that this property is an excuse for you to get out in front of people.
Yeah,
right?
And
I just thought that
Facebook
was
Marketplace,
fantastic.
get in there until they kick us
Facebook
out.
Marketplace. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And then keep repeating. Right? Like this isn't one and done. This is a constant nonstop thing. One of the things I loved about Brent is he's very, very focused as to I'm doing these for sellers, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of this conversation really should turn our turrets towards the sellers because most of us are still in constricted marketplaces.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Love it, guys.
All right,
Thank you very much for being on the call. Thank you guys so much for sharing so much and being so wide open. That's what makes these calls great, and that's what allows every team that's listening to grow their business and get better and better. It's because of what you guys did and what you guys said today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much again. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.